clap.
Yeah.
Like that.
Perfect. Good job. Thank you.
Well, I think one of our defining characteristics is that we are owned only by people who work in the business, and it's a very wide group of people, and that's intentional to make sure the business stays focused on the people in it, and that there are no individuals who are really just trying to, who've got too much at stake or too much ambition to get more out of it than anyone else. So, from the early days, I was very lucky. I was working with Laurie Clark and Richard Carr, Rick as we will call him. The one thing they did was absolutely give me as much rope as I wanted. They encouraged me, helped me, and let me develop in a way that some of the other engineers in the other offices didn't get that freedom. Their markets were more constrained and they were more controlled, or that was the nature of their leaders. But I was very lucky. Rick and Laurie were very supportive. I got to do all sorts of things. For me, that's always been really important. The business is about anybody joining it should be supported to do the very best that they can. Their ambitions should be there. They should be able to fulfill them. I've never changed jobs in 41.75 years, but I have. My jobs, if you look at the senior engineer who's working on a drawing board with plastic film and drawing little light fittings on sheets and using a Hewlett-Packard calculator to work out cable sizes and things like that. It's to somebody who's been able to be part of a business and work in all sorts of fields, in Singapore and in Australia as well. See so many other people being able to do similar things with their careers and their lives. It's fantastic. That's, I hope that's something that everybody feels, and I hope that people join Cundall with the aspiration to really find their way in life within the business. And the practice was going to have to go through a serious metamorphosis as the founding partners all left in close succession. So something had to happen to take the business forward. And I'd been working very hard for the practice to try and make it successful. So the idea that it might all fall apart wasn't something I was very happy with. Fortunately, there were some other good partners around me who had equal enthusiasm for the future of the business. And so, the thought of the leadership that was binding it together, who'd all started the business together, leaving all of us with our different styles and culture and personalities and so on to try and hold it together was definitely going to need some things. So it was very motivational to me to try and pull this together and to create a positive outlook for the whole business, something that everybody could get behind. And so taking on the leadership and looking at ways in which we could enthuse people about the future and about being one practice that they could all join into and enjoy was kind of what drove me. That's what kind of, the international business was really just built out of something that I think the practice has been very good at, which is supporting people in it, in the knowledge that if you've got good people, you can have a good business. And so we had an extremely talented individual who had an Australian wife, connections in Australia from work he'd been doing there before. And so it was, well, don't leave, take the business with you. And that's kind of been the thing that's helped us all the way forward. So all of our international businesses, exception of Dubai, I suppose, and then the latest offices, was Hong Kong and Shanghai, both born out of people wanting to go and take something on. Dubai was probably the most calculated one, where we said we need to be in the Gulf. Who's volunteering? And Richard Stratton was suitably inebriated, he volunteered. I wouldn't be so arrogant as to advise the future leaders. They're facing a different set of challenges than I ever did. The one thing I would, as I've said several times, I would urge them not to lose sight of the importance of the actual engineers and engineering aspirations, and making sure that is very alive in us. I think in dealing with the coming deluge of AI-supported activities, not having engineers who really know their subject matter is going to leave us in a position where we cannot deal critically with AI-generated designs. And that way, we would just be in competition for the best AI system, not in competition with the best engineers who can manipulate such a system. Well, it's not just designing for humans. Computers they'll make decisions, and they'll make decisions according to parameters fed into them. They may not be the right parameters. And so being able to look at it and say, well, yeah, that's a good answer, but actually if you change a couple of other things, you'll get a very different answer that might be better. The computer won't necessarily think of doing that, because the algorithm's written to do one thing best. So being able to manipulate the algorithms, I think is going to be a fundamental for the future. The practice can only be as good as the best engineers. Without very high caliber engineers, passionate about the engineering, we're never going to be anything more than run-of-the-mill. And if you ask me what the practice needs to do most to secure its future, it's cherish engineers who are passionate about the engineering.